everything right, it was you and me.
Hi everyone, my name is Nayeema and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. And today we have the mid-year book freakout tag. I still don't know the order in which the tag goes. I love this tag. It's one of my favorite tags to do every single year. I cannot believe that we are already midway through 2022. Like, it's just crazy, and if I think about it too much, I'll cry and I'll go through like a whole crisis because I feel like I'm getting old. That's just irrelevant. Today we are talking about my favorite books and my not so favorite books, my biggest disappointments and my biggest surprises of the year thus far, and I'm super excited to do this. Before I filmed this video, I went back and watched my mid-year book freakout tag from 2020 and 2021, and I noticed that I wore this shirt in both of those, and so I was like, okay, well, I can't break the tradition now. Like, I have to wear this shirt during the mid-year book freakout tag, which I don't know why I still have this shirt. If you can tell, it's entirely way too small and it needs to be retired, but maybe I'll keep it around just for the sake of these videos. I'll also have my videos from 2020 and 2021 linked down below. I found it so interesting to go back and see what I was loving and what I was hating and how my taste has changed. So if you guys find that kind of stuff interesting, I'll have those linked down below as well. But one thing I will say, for those two videos, you could literally physically feel my excitement about the books that I was talking about. And this year, I don't know, I just haven't been reading too many books that wow me that I'm super excited to talk about. So we'll see how this video goes. I don't feel super passionate about the books that I'll talk about with you guys. I feel like for the other ones, when I was planning the tag, I was like, oh, immediately this book, immediately this book. This year I really had to dig and think and be like, okay, well, what did I feel like in the moment? So yeah, it's a different vibe this year. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, even though I wasn't uploading on YouTube, I was posting a lot, and not posting, but I've been updating on my stories and talking to you guys through my stories, so make sure you guys follow me there. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just get right into the mid-year book freakout tag for 2022. Okay, so the first question is best book you've read so far in 2022. And for this one, I have three choices, which really, when I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling like it's more two rather than three. So the first book that I have is The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells. This book was the book that really just took me places and made me feel things this year. Up until I read that book, I was numb. I was autopiloting through all my books. This book, I was literally so excited to get home to read this book. Do not let the cover, do not judge a book by its cover, to say the least. Like, this cover, love you, Kate C. Wells. This cover is awful, but the book is amazing. And if you like werewolf shifter romances, you need to read this series by Kate C. Wells. There's only 2 books out so far. It is amazing. So this book follows this alpha named Killian, and when I found out his name was Killian, I was so excited because every single werewolf romance that I love, at least like on Wattpad, their names were Killian. And so I don't know, it made me really happy. So Killian kind of runs this pack. He's kind of a tyrant. Not really. He kind of cares about his pack, but he mostly cares about like the people in the higher rank. And then we have our heroine, who is in a lower level of the pack. I think she is a scavenger. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the second book, but she's anyways in a lower division where she kind of has to serve like the higher up rank. She's a lone female. The lone females of a pack are kind of like the lowest of the low. So one day she feels a pull to Killian. He publicly rejects her. He's like, everybody knows I don't have a mate. He wasn't super cruel about it. He was just like, no, you're sadly mistaken. She never shifted before. She'd never gone through heat before. So she was going through heat and she was shifting and things were going bad. And so her wolf is like screaming inside of her because her mate just rejected her, and she knows it's her mate, but he doesn't feel that pull yet. And so she really wants this mate bond like out. She is over it. She's done. And this witch, the witch of the pack, actually breaks the bond between them. But she only breaks it on her side. The witch is like, oh, he's gonna regret it because you're gonna be fine and he's gonna be over here suffering. And it is the best book ever. Like, I love this book so incredibly much. It's amazing. It is just everything. So if you like shifter romances, even if you don't really, if you guys haven't really gotten into shifter romances, I think that you guys should totally pick up this book. I was literally, it had me by the neck. I I couldn't think of anything else. The next one that I have here is Ruthless Creatures, and this was another book that had me in a chokehold as well. I thought it was amazing. I have grown to love J.T. Jessinger and her books. I thought that this book was amazing. It is a mafia romance. This is definitely like on the lower of the best books that I've read. I haven't read that too many best books. So anyways, I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I thought it was amazing. I thought the smut in here was amazing. Same with the first book that I talked about. And yeah, I'm super excited to read the second book. This is definitely one of the best books that I've read thus far, and it just felt so different than the typical mafia romance because the heroine really had no knowledge that mafias existed outside of like books and movies, and so it was great. It just felt super different, and I was really hooked by this one. The next question is best sequel that you've read in 2022 so far, and for this I have to say Sinner by Sierra Simone. I actually didn't read the first book, Priest, in this series, so I'm not sure if it totally counts, but this is a sequel in a series and I loved this book. I sobbed to this book. It was amazing. It pulled on my heartstrings. Everybody who hyped up this series, you are completely right. I love this book. It follows this guy named Sean Bell, and he really has kind of lived life kind of just like selfishly and for himself. You know, he worked really hard to get money. He really only cares about money and girls and his family, which really shocked me because I wasn't expecting that from this book. I thought this guy would be kind of like egotistical and arrogant, but no, he was such a sweetheart and it was amazing. So anyways, one night he meets this girl named Zenny. He is totally captivated by her. He wants to get to know her more, and they end up meeting again. She is about to become a nun. Before she becomes a nun, she wants to experience all that life has to offer sexually, and so she asks Sean to teach her things, but he is hesitant for 3 reasons. Because she is really young, way younger than him, about to become a nun, and he hates everything to do with the Catholic Church. And third of all, this is actually his best friend's little sister. So yeah, this book was amazing. You could probably guess that it was very hot and steamy. It was amazing. Also, if you're confused by the cover, this is the Hello Lovely box special edition. That's why it looks differently. But I loved the sequel so much. It had my heart, and I was not okay after I read this, so this one is definitely my favorite sequel. The next question is new release you haven't read yet, and so for this I have 2 that really have been kind of bugging me, that I really am just like, okay, I need to read these books. When will I read them? I don't know, but I will read them. And the first one is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This book just actually came out and I'm so excited to read it. It has like kind of like true crime elements in there, a mystery in there, and also a romance, of course. I love Tessa Bailey, and I just found out that her book It Happened One Summer is about to become a movie, and I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, speaking of which, can you please show your book It Happened One Summer? Yes, I'm very okay. So yeah, I'm obsessed with It Happened One Summer, and I'm so excited for this movie to come out. And I just love Tessa Bailey and everything that she's written, besides one book, which we will get into later. But yes, I really am excited to read My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. And it also is a book club pick, my book club pick for July. So I do have a video coming out soon of all of my book club picks for the next couple of months. Yeah, I'm excited to read this for my book club and discuss it. Hopefully you guys join. I'm very excited. And then another book is Triple Threat by Kay Webster. I love Kay Webster. I kind of fell into her grasp at the end of 2021 and I'm obsessed. And so I've been dying to read Triple Threat. I have an arc just sitting there on my phone and I'm ready to read that. I'm just a little bit hesitant because it's triplets with one girl, and I don't particularly like these triplets because I read about them in some other books of hers, and I'm just nervous, but I am super excited to read it because Kay Webster has been able to put something that I don't think I would like, but then when I read them, I become obsessed. So I just need to take the leap of faith and jump into this book. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of 2022, and I have 2. Number 1, Anastasia by Sophie Lark. I have been anxiously waiting for Sophie Lark to come out with a new book since The Savage. I love her. I love having books on deck that I can anticipate. And so I don't even remember anything about the Anastasia movie, but I am excited to see what she does with this book. I think I'm gonna watch the movie first and then read it. I'm so excited. And then the next one is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I read It Ends With Us in 2020 and I loved it so incredibly much. So I'm very excited for this one to come out in October. Hopefully it's as good as everybody's expectations. I have no doubt in my mind that it will be, but yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting that one. The next question that we have is biggest disappointment, and for this one I have two. The first one is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I know, I just raved about her. This book was still really good. It just wasn't as good as It Happened One Summer, and I love It Happened One Summer, so I was just expecting to love Hook, Line, and Sinker just the same, and I did really enjoy it, but I didn't love it per se. So yeah, that is definitely a biggest disappointment for me. And then also Heir Apparent's Rejected Mate by Kate C. Wells. This book came out I think in April. Like I told you guys earlier, I loved the first one so much, so this one just didn't live up to that book, sadly. So yeah, that's why it's one of my biggest disappointments, but it still was an amazing book though, and I would definitely reread it and recommend it. I just love Kate C. Wells' writing, and she did a really good job on that one. The next question that I have here is biggest surprise, and for this I am going to say Bulky by Jessica Cain. This book was recommended to me by my friend M, who I just showed reading It Happened One Summer, and I wasn't really expecting to love this book, but boy did I love this book. It is a part of her Big Boy series. These are all novellas, and it was amazing. It's best friend's father, sugar baby, sugar daddy. It's like a bigger hero, and I just loved it so incredibly much. I have no idea why. It got me out of a reading slump. I think that Jessica Cain's novellas are great palette cleansers, and this one really surprised me because I was expecting it to be a 3-star. No, it was 5 stars. I loved it. The next question that I have is my new favorite author, and to be honest, I haven't read from too many new authors this year, but I did read Sierra Simone for the first time, I believe, when I read Sinner, and I also have since read Saint, which we will talk about in my wrap-up. I have been really enjoying everything that I've read from her thus far, so she is definitely a favorite author. And then another one is Brianna Jean. I just read her book Why Are You Here, and it is toxic romance heaven. I loved it so much, and I'm so excited to read more from her. Even though I usually consider somebody a new favorite author when I've read 3 books of theirs and I really enjoyed them. For Brianna Jean, I've only read 1, but I loved this one so much, so that's why she's on this list. The next one that I have is Newest Fictional Crush, and I have 2, of course, can never only pick one. The first one is Killian from The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate that I talked about earlier. He is so alpha, he is so... maybe it's just his name. To be honest, it's probably his name, but I loved him, and so he's my newest crushes. And then I also have Declan from Terms and Conditions. I loved this man. He was so mean and so broody, and you could just see all the little hints of him loving Iris, his assistant slash new wife, and it was just so fun to read about him. I love a good grumpy, mean hero that nobody really likes, and that does not bother him because he doesn't like them either. The next one that I have is Newest Favorite Character, and for this I'm kind of perceiving it to be like anybody that you don't have a crush on, and for this I chose Lana from the Mindfuck series. I loved Lana. She is my new favorite heroine. She is so badass and just so cunning, and I read about her in shock and awe. I was like, oh my gosh, I loved her so much. She's basically a serial killer getting revenge on all these people who did her wrong, and I fell in love with her. I love her. She is great. I love Lana. The next question is a book that made you cry, and not too many books made me cry so far this year. I will say The Long Game by Rachel Reed made me sob. I was not okay when I read this book. This is basically part 2 to the second book in the Game Changer series. I love this book and it made me cry so much. This has many trigger warnings, so I definitely recommend looking into them before you read this book. It deals heavily with depression, and I thought it was depicted so brilliantly and so on the dot, and it just made me cry. It made me cry. This book definitely took me to a dark place. And then also Sinner by Sierra Simone made me cry as well. I was not expecting this to have the emotional punch that it did. I really went into this thinking it would be, ooh, a fun little hot time. No, this made me sob. as well. I was not okay. You should definitely check up the content warnings in here as well. The next question is a book that made you happy. And for this, I'm going to choose To Love Jason Thorne by 𝕬𝓐. This book made me so happy. I just read it recently. And I don't know, it just was so cute and so wholesome. And it really shocked me because this book has a lot of hype surrounding it. But I loved it and it made me so happy. I was literally smiling. I was listening to the audiobook at work, just smiling while listening and doing my work. I just couldn't. Like, I had a huge smile on my face. And then another book that made me happy was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This just made me happy because of the atmosphere. It's a small town romance and it was just so cute and so wholesome. You just get super like fuzzy tinglies when reading this book and it made me happy. The next question is favorite book to movie adaptation of this year, and right now I'm actually currently watching The Summer I Turned Pretty and I am thoroughly enjoying this TV show, this adaptation. I did read these books like last week before the show came out and I didn't love them per se. I thought they were really cute, but I think that the show really elevated this series for me. Like, it just, the show is 10 times better. Don't come for me. I know so many people have the nostalgia factor. If I read it for the first time years ago, oh my gosh, I would have loved this series, but because I read it for the first time now, I didn't enjoy it as much, so I don't have that nostalgia factor. But the TV show is amazing. It's so cute. I literally had to force myself to stop watching it because I didn't want to watch it too fast. I'm really enjoying that. The next question is favorite review you've written so far, and for this I have Why Are You Here by Brianna Jean, and I really liked my review for that. I felt like I was very fair and I brought out some good criticisms that I did not enjoy in the book, and also talked about how much I loved it on Goodreads. I've been a bit lazy with my reviews on Goodreads recently. I don't know why. Like, I'll either say a sentence or I'll do like many paragraphs. The next one is most beautiful book you've bought in this year. One of them is Pestilence. I just love the gold and I love the body armor. I think that this book is so stunning and I'm so excited to read this. I think I'm going to read it soon. I just have been in the mood to get into fantasy romance again, so this one is definitely going to be read soon and I think it's gorgeous. Another one is The Confidence of Wildflowers. I love the colors on here and all of the flowers. I am a floral girly. I love flowers, so yeah. And this is an age gap romance. I'm excited. And the last question is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And boy, oh my gosh, I would love to read every single book that I own, that I have not read yet. I am dying to do that. It drives me crazy. I just really want to feel accomplished. I love setting goals for myself and trying to accomplish them and having a checklist to just cross off. And I actually have a spread in my reading journal of all the books that I have not read yet, and so whenever I read one, I cross it off and it's just so satisfying. I would love to read so many books that I have already downloaded and bought on my Kindle. I really would love to read the rest of the books in the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark, and then also her Underworld series, just so I can safely say that I've read every single Sophie Lark book. I also need to read this entire Midnight Mayhem series. You guys have been hounding me to read this series, and I will and I want to. I've just been crazy busy, so I will definitely have a reading vlog out for this. I'm not letting 2022 end without reading this series. Like, I need to read it. Another one that I talk about in all of my TBRs saying I am going to read it this month and then it never happens is Omnius by KV Rose. I know. I still have yet to read this and I don't know what is taking me so long. But I need to, again, this is another book that I'm not letting 2022 end without reading. So that was the last question for the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm super excited to get into uploading again. And also, like I told you guys earlier, I will have my previous 2 mid-year book freakout tags down below in the description box. Go check those out and see how much my reading taste has changed. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a big like and also comment down below. And feel free to answer any of the questions that you would like in the comments down below. I would love to know all of your answers to these questions. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in a new video. Bye!